So before we get into the nitty gritty of who was signed, and I've already covered that, but hey, we'll do it very quickly. Who was waived and then who we signed just today. Let's talk about the numbers, the number of players that attended rookie minicamp. Now, if you followed the video series that I put together, you know that rookie minicamp is for rookies, which include your draft picks, undrafted free agents, tryouts, and veterans. You also have or could have players that are on the team, like first and second year players that could be there, but for the Panthers, we didn't see that. Now, here's the thing I want to talk about. Before the Panthers went into rookie minicamp, I went out and looked, and I pulled up the Kansas City Chiefs because Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl winning organization, back to back. I wanted to go out there, one, because they had already completed rookie minicamp, just to get a feel for, how did it go for them? Because I saw this huge list on X of all the players that attended, and it was like 70 plus players. So in my mind, coming into the Panthers rookie minicamp camp, I'm sitting here saying, well, I have a good feeling that the Panthers may bring in 40, 50 players. And we go and we look at our list, and if you saw the live video, you saw me go through it. Panthers had 29 players, right under 30 players. So why under 30 players when you have the Super Bowl winning Kansas City Chiefs bringing in 70 plus players? What was the reason behind it? Well, we got to hear from Dave Canales, and a lot of it had to do with being very precise with the guys that are here, the guys that are likely going to be here in the future. And hey, I think it bodes well for some of these undrafted free agents, at least, over the next few weeks. Some of them, unfortunately, not because they didn't make the cut. But this is a very fluid time of year for the roster, especially the tail end of the roster, the 20 plus roster spots that are up for grabs. You're going to see a lot of things changing over the course of these next few weeks. But I was shocked. I honestly was shocked. I was like, I would have expected at least the 40 to 50 guys. But hey, it was the state of the roster is the decision that Dave Canales made. I think it was really deciding that the guys that they did choose to bring in were guys that they could go ahead and like, hey, let's start building the foundation. Let's get them familiar with our system, with how things are going to work in the NFL. And that was what's happened. So, hey, we'll take it, see how it goes. Now, let's talk about the roster. You can go out to Panthers.com, always the source of truth. Always the source of truth whenever you're looking up any information. I know there's great reporters, beat writers out there, and you can follow their work as well. But if you want the truth just for yourself, go out to Panthers.com, search transactions, has all the transactions available for you. So I won't talk about the 19 players that were signed, the undrafted free agents. We'll talk about the guys that were just waived and the new additions that came in, some of the veterans that were signed this afternoon. So out of the list of 19, 3 players were waived. Darius, Hodges, defensive end, Deshawn, Gaddie, cornerback, and Kevin Foelsch, tight end. Now, Kevin Foelsch, I kind of expected him not to make the cut, only because I was like, okay, we feel pretty comfortable about the tight end room, and he originally wasn't one of the ones that were predicted to come here or on the list of projected signees for undrafted free agents, so it makes a lot of sense. Looking at what we have, if you had a chance to go out there and watch some of the videos, I got to say our quarterbacks, not great. Not great at all by any means. And not Bryce Young, our rookie minicamp quarterbacks, primarily Jake Palmer, and also the undrafted free agent or tryout guy, and he's not even on this list, but it was pretty rough. If you watch some of those highlights, like every pass behind Xavier is almost behind him. Ugh, it's rough. So I'm glad to have Bryce back now as we enter phase 3, and the rookies were introduced to the rest of the team today. And speaking of the team and the changes, so with those 3 departures, we have 2 signings, outside linebacker Cam Gill and defensive end TJ Smith. Not a lot of production out of both of these guys. Panthers.com putting out there this pairing after you waive the 3 or release the 3, sign the 2, we're up to 89. Again, you get to carry 90 into training camp. I still think this thing is going to keep changing over the next few weeks. Let's talk about it. Gill, Cam Gill, that is, outside linebacker, edge player, a native of Sumter, South Carolina. Shout out to Sumter, South Carolina, if I can talk. very close to some of my in-laws out there in Camden. And he spent his time before this with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers over the last 4 seasons. He made the team as an undrafted rookie from Wagner in 2020 and had half a sack of Patrick Mahomes in Super Bowl LV. He's appeared in 40 regular season games and has 2.5 career sacks. Spent 2022 season on IR. Now look back for both of these guys, not a ton of production, a lot of special teams play, and that's a heavy emphasis that we're going to hear from Dave Canales, who likes to have guys that can play special teams. He talked about having Xavier lining up as a gunner. He talked about Doug Baldwin early in his career. And I know it's different situations. Doug Baldwin, not a first-round draft pick. Xavier is. I don't know how many times I would expect Xavier to be lining up out there as a gunner. But it's always thinking about ways to be creative, to wear helmets. That's his philosophy. Remember, you carry the 45 to 48 guys on your roster on Sunday, so you don't even have the 53. So you're limited with bodies, so injuries occur. You got to have people prepared. And that's a great philosophy for these newer guys that are learning the system and some of the undrafted guys who we think may compete for a roster spot. TJ Smith spent the past 3 seasons with the Vikings after spending the 2020 season with the Chargers on the practice squad and has appeared in 4 games. So both of these additions here, you're not getting a ton of production. We're really looking at those value pickups along the way here. And hey, I'm all for it. We need some help on the defensive side of the ball. You still argue that a cornerback would be great at some point, whether it's Gilmore, whoever it is. Let's get some additional bodies in there. But I think things we're going to see. Like, unfortunately, sometimes injuries occur, and that forces your hand. That makes you go out and make a decision that maybe you were putting off. Or somewhere else, someone becomes available. You're like, hey, why not? Let's go out there and pick them up. But that's your latest news coming out of rookie minicamp. So we now move into phase 3. A few things to talk about with schedule release right around the corner. So Wednesday, we will actually know, and I know there's different leaks out there with some of the games. I don't know if anything's valid. What we do know is the opponents. What we also know is that the Panthers have an international game in Germany. Now, we're going to find out who the Panthers play in that international game early on Wednesday. Wednesday morning, the NFL put out a statement that they're going to have that on the NFL Good Morning Football. I know all that stuff's changing, but the morning show on the NFL Network on Wednesday is going to release all the international games. So getting ahead of it, we'll know pretty early who that's going to be. Remember last year, the Chiefs, a paper in Germany leaked that it was going to be the Chiefs and Panthers. If you recall, you can go back. They were the only outlet that reported it. So I'm not holding my breath thinking that we're going to see Panthers and Chiefs. Another reason that I don't think we'll see Panthers Chiefs is because the Chiefs are also, Germany is one of their international countries as well, as far as like where they're able to go. And I don't think you would, like, if you're trying to grow the game internationally, I don't know that you would necessarily want to pin two of your, I mean, it would make sense eventually, but right now, pin two of the teams that are there based in Germany, or you want fans attracted, bringing in. I think they'd really want, hey, let's bring all of Germany together to pull for the Panthers versus kind of this, divide situation. Not saying it won't happen, but yeah, I think the other thing is, if this, I can't remember, I think the leak that I saw said it was going to be the New York Giants, which in that case, you still have the Cincinnati Bengals and Dallas Cowboys and Chiefs coming to Bank of America Stadium next year if this plays out the way it is. So, hey, I'm not traveling to Germany, but I know I got a lot of German followers and listeners throughout the show who are just excited to see this. So yeah, I'm pumped. And I do plan, I haven't decided if I'm going to do it live. I will, of course, do my reaction to the NFL schedule release. Like, why not? I know it's a thing. They're going to have their own show, the NFL Network, ESPN, all those networks doing it. But for me, I was like, why not? I'll go ahead, record my reaction to whatever it is, and we'll go from there. But hey, folks, things are heating up in the offseason, like things are becoming more real day by day by day. And I'm excited. I'm excited to actually get into some football to see who this team can be. There's something about Dave Canales and just, I don't know if it's intent, and I'm not going to say this is going to absolutely work out, but it's just something about his presence, the way he answers his questions. You can just tell this guy's smart. And it's not like this is a coach that's coming off the street for the first time. He's been around one of the best in the game, mentored under Pete Carroll for what, 12 years, 10, 11 years before he made the jump to Tampa, and now here after 1 year as an offensive coordinator. And so it's not like you're getting this inexperienced guy. You're getting to see a coach that was a part of some very good teams. Some would say somewhat of a dynasty, winning football, something that we all strive for during those years when we were battling against the Seahawks. He was a part of it, and being able to see that firsthand, I think what we are most excited about is just what he's going to be able to offer to this team on the offensive side of the ball, understanding who Bryce is, understanding what we need to get out of our receiving core. How can he elevate the guys that are on this roster? What can he do with Jatavian Saunders? What can he do with Chuba Hubbard, with Jonathan Brooks? How is he going to get Amir Smith Marset involved? Mingo, Johnson. How different is this offense going to look? And folks I understand from a media standpoint that a lot of people are going to say the Panthers are going to be a terrible team this year, and you can take that absolutely. But for me, I personally do believe the team is going to be better than people expect. That's not saying they're winning a division, not saying they're winning 9 games, 10 games, but I do think we're going to see progression in the direction that we've wanted to see. And if hopefully that means competitive football in December or late November, that we're still in the mix in a weaker NFC South division that continues to remain weak, that's all you can ask for, right? Absolutely all that you can ask for. Now, going out here, I don't think we had any other news. I will say, if you go back and listen to some of the pressers, one of the things that Jatavian Sanders talked about was wanting to be the next Greg Olsen for this team. And I absolutely want him to be the next Greg Olsen so bad, because this team has struggled. We have not had a 500-yard receiver since Olsen. Tight end, 500 receiving yard tight end since Olsen. The only two in Panthers history to have more than 500 receiving yards, tight ends, Wesley Wallace, Greg Olsen. We've been dying for production from that position. And, Saunders was a wide receiver in high school. So he's moved around. He has the ability to flex outside, to play the Y. He's going to be playing a little bit of the F. I like just that paired with everything that we're going to have on the offensive side of the ball. I know it may take a little bit longer for things to gel and get together, but as we go and, install this offense and get this thing going, I'm excited about the future for this team and what has been built and where we think this team can go. I'll continue to say it every time I come on an episode. No matter what the large national media says, no matter what you think, what I think, these are men that are competing to win football games, that are paid to win football games, regardless of what happened last year, regardless of what's happened the last 6 years. You have to remember that these are competitors, that they've reached this point in their life because they compete, and they compete to win. And they're not going to roll over and sit back and say, hey, guess what, guys? We're just going to let the narrative that we're a terrible team and we're always going to be terrible take control of us in our situation. So again, I always like to lean on the optimism side. And again, it's not saying that they're going to be this, this, and this, but I do think, hey, don't be shocked if they're better than whatever you anticipate them being this year. Well, folks, I think that's going to do it for today. This is Carolina Dad. Y'all have a good one.